pretty bizarre. Talking about myself is probably my biggest weakness. I'm really bad at it. It's not something I'm usually comfortable doing. I'd like to think that I'm open, kind, I care about others. I'm also very strongly independent. I don't like to be told that I can't do something if I believe I can. I don't like to be restrained or told that I have to follow specific rules and guidelines that I deem meaningless. So in that sense, I'm a little bit of a free spirit, I suppose. I think I'm as normal as I can get it. I consider myself a perfectionist. It has its ups and its downs. It's good because attention to detail is crucial in a lot of things. At the same time, I can get boggled down in the details and not move forward. But I think it's something inherent to my personality. That said, it doesn't extend to other parts of my life outside of my work because my room is very messy most of the time, which does not bother me. I believe my self-image is positive. I like myself. I hope other people like me too. But I try not to concern myself too much with what other people think and try and focus on if I personally believe there's something I could improve in or that I could do better or something along those lines, then I try to focus on that. It's not necessarily as I'm judging myself too harshly, although sometimes I can, but it's more I want to be happy with myself, and if there's something I'm not happy with, I will try and change it to become who I want to be. My best quality, I would say, is that I'm outgoing. I wasn't always like this. I used to be extremely painfully shy, and slowly, little by little, my mom would force me to put myself out there. I remember, for example, would be in a fast food chain like McDonald's or something, and I would want to get more fries or an ice cream cone, and instead of having her going to get it, she would force me to go to the counter and ask for it, which at times was traumatizing, but I learned a lot doing that. And then when I went from middle school to high school, I decided I didn't want to be shy anymore and I wanted to make new friends and meet new people. So I remember forcing myself to be open and talk to people. It was those instances of having to push myself to become outgoing that eventually made me an outgoing person. Now nobody would believe that I was an introvert. My worst defect would probably have to be my impatience. I am not the most patient soul, unfortunately, which is not very nice, but it is what it is. I've tried to fix it. So slowly but surely working on it. I don't know what's coming next. I don't know what tomorrow's gonna hold, but that's awesome because then you can make it whatever you want it to be. Not knowing makes it more exciting and allows a lot of room for spontaneity and for, I don't know, just doing things you care about and being happy with your day and being fulfilled. My childhood was very interesting. I'd like to think it was very fun. I grew up in Argentina and I was raised there, and then I moved to the United States, Miami, Florida, when I was 8 years old. But even throughout all of that, I always had friends in a very loving family, which made it very easy to adjust. And I always did really weird, random things. I remember we really enjoyed ourselves. We also had lemonade stands on the sidewalk. Like, actually, we sold a lot of lemonade now that I think about it. But I just spent my childhood doing things normal kids do. My earliest memory was when I had chickenpox. I was 4 years old. My whole body itched so uncontrollably and it was horrible, horrible. But I wasn't supposed to scratch the chickenpox because then I'd get scars, which I actually got 2 of only, luckily, on my face actually. And to distract me, my mom and my nanny would blow bubbles with one of those bubble guns, and it would just distract me and I would go chasing around the house. So I came to the United States when I was 8. I went to 3rd grade here, and actually there's a lot of good and bad memories about that. For example, my first week of school, I actually didn't make a single friend until the third day, which is traumatizing as an 8-year-old. I remember when I was told we were moving to the United States. It was 2002. It was January. I was 6 years old. No, I was 7 years old. And I did not want to hear it. I was upset. I was crying. I had just changed schools. I had my friends. I had people I cared about. And I was going into an unknown country where I would know nobody, basically. But I'm happy that I did come to the United States because I love it here. And I wouldn't have the opportunities I do if I had stayed in Argentina and Buenos Aires, and my life would be completely different. It was a hard transition at first because I remember turning on the TV and not understanding anything of the cartoons were saying. But slowly I grew into it, and I'm very, very happy we ended up coming here. It's probably the best decision my mom did. And I miss my family a lot. I miss the food, but I wouldn't trade my life for anybody else's. I love it, and I'm happy I'm here. It's just hard to miss family updates and family gatherings and things. I remember from Argentina a lot of good things, a lot of fond memories, like asados, which are barbecues, but much more delicious than anything you can imagine. I remember my family. I remember the cobblestone streets, the beautiful architecture, the vandalism. I remember my friends. I remember playing hockey in the field. I remember winters that weren't so cold and summers that were extremely hot compared to what I'm used to now. But I also, when I think of Argentina, the main thing that comes to mind is the poverty. So it's not necessarily a fond memory all the time. As cliche as this sounds, I would say home is where the heart is. I don't attach myself to places, I attach myself to people. I love my dad. I don't see him often enough, but it's always comfortable when I do. The only thing is he's a very quiet person, and I speak a lot. So it usually ends up being me asking questions, or him asking me questions actually, because if I ask him something, it just gets like a monosyllabic response. He's a person who I love dearly and I want to get to know better. And I want to be able to spend more time, and even if it's quiet, I want to be comfortable in that silence. My mom is the person that raised me, basically. She's a person that taught me how to be strong, how to be silly, how to be resourceful. She's somebody I've looked up to my whole life, because not only has she been there my whole life, but she works hard, probably harder than anybody else I've ever met. She always thinks ahead. She's never duped by somebody else. For example, she'll always be ahead, and she'll always try her best. She never wants to do something half-assed. She always puts her best foot forward with a lot of humor, a lot of grace, and she's always kind. I love my grandparents. All sets of them, they are wonderful. It's different with each, but for the most part I get along well. We do fun things, I trust them. My grandfather Adelino was a very interesting person. I remember when I must have been around 6 years old, he would tell me stories and I'd sit on his lap, but instead of telling me about like the Princess and the Pea or any other like fantasy, he would tell me history. So he would tell me about Christopher Columbus and the ships he sailed and his trip and voyage, or he would whistle, and he could whistle in the most beautiful way. It sounded just like an instrument. My relationships with my sisters is great. I have 3 half-sisters, and I love them all dearly. We're just all very different people, so I had to relate to all of them very differently. For example, my older sister is close to my age, and she's a very cool person. She's very, very funny. And then my middle sister is extremely quiet. You have to pry things out of her. But it's nice because last time I visited, we actually stayed up late into the night just talking about our lives and what was new and like things that were happening which we hadn't done before. So it was, I don't know, it was very heartwarming. It was very nice. And then my younger sister, I love her and she loves me and I love spending time with her. She's a riot. She's also a handful. So I love spending time with her, but after 2 weeks, I might kill her. So I love them all very, very much. I really do. I remember a traumatizing event from first grade, which is, I think we were doing an assignment. I'm not sure if it was English, math, Spanish, something. And the teacher gave us back our papers, and mine had like an A minus, I think it was. And then my friends had an A plus on it. And I was a kid, so I just drew the like plus sign onto the minus sign. And the teacher got so upset at me. It wasn't like, I understand like why that would in some ways be upsetting, but it was not as though we were giving her back the papers and she didn't know the grade on them. She knew that it was an A minus. She was just so upset. She was furious. Oh, I remember that was traumatizing as a child. I'm absolutely terrified of growing old. I notice now how quickly time passes. For example, a year ago, I studied abroad in Hong Kong a year ago. I'd been looking forward to that for around 4 years. And then the moment came and I had an incredible 4 months. And then the moment passed and it was completely gone and it's done with and it won't happen again. And time seems to go much faster than you want it to and much faster than you calculate. And just that idea that one of these days I'm gonna stop, look around, I'm gonna be like 55 and I'm not gonna know where the time has gone is terrifying for me every time I think about it. I don't have any traumatic memories. I must have blocked it. Oh yeah, I do actually. When I first came to the United States, I was 8 and obviously it's a completely different country, change of pace, culture, language, everything. And I went into 3rd grade and my first day of class, I get to that classroom, the teacher's wonderful, she introduces herself, she says, I am Miss Vigil, please take your time to get adjusted, you have a week, don't worry about the homework for now. And then she sat me down and then she started teaching. But the second she started teaching, I could understand nothing of what she said. From that point on, for like few days, I don't remember until when, but I just understood nothing of the lessons and that was terrifying. I've a lot of memories where I was at my grandmother's house and she would spoil me rotten, which was actually wonderful. It's probably because I'm her only grandchild, although both my grandparents claim I'm their favorite grandchild. And they would just buy me all the delicious food I wanted and I could watch TV and bounce around on the couches and we'd go to a playground where I would win toys, or maybe she would just pay off the person to give me the toy anyway, I'm not quite sure. But it was this big bouncy balls and I would just sit there and watch TV and sometimes I'd knit. I'm about to go into my senior year of college. It's exciting. There's a lot of bittersweet feelings because they say college are the best 4 years of your life, which means the rest of your life is just downhill from there. There's nothing's ever gonna get better. And I hope that's not true, but I don't know what comes after. Hopefully it'll be something where I learn a lot, be a little bit more street smart, and hopefully something that makes me happy. I don't know. Eventually I wanna have my own business. Don't know doing what yet, but it'll be there. I really want to not only be my own boss, but be able to fulfill whatever dreams I have. If I could do anything in the world, would be to become a veterinarian. But I am terrible at science. It is unfathomably boring, so I'd have to substitute in other ways. Like I volunteered at an animal shelter because it's sort of a way to get a little bit of animal therapy in there and still do something good. I don't know, 10 years from now I'll be 31. Hopefully I'll have already met the person I want to spend the rest of my life with. Hopefully we'll already be married. Don't want kids yet because I strongly believe you should be with somebody for several years before you have kids. But I don't know, I want to be at least at the beginning stages of fulfilling my dream of having my own business or doing something I'm passionate about. I never want to be complacent. I never want to be in a place where I feel extremely comfortable and then you're too scared to switch or to start something new. I don't want to have a routine every single day that I know will be the same for the next 20 years to come, because that to me is more terrifying than not knowing your future. Ideally, the perfect guy, Prince Charming, would be outgoing, be able to hold a conversation, be kind, be honest, have a sense of humor, be ambitious in whatever field they're in, and be conscientious of others and what they're feeling, what makes them happy, what makes them sad, what makes them uncomfortable, and to be able to, I don't know, do little things here and there that would make me happy. I would like to teach my children kindness and to not be beaten down or made cynical by things that they see and they hear in the world. Don't be complacent and don't be jaded, and always be kind to others. There are only very few times that I can remember that I've been scared or afraid. I think the main one was as I would walk from my house to the school bus stop in the morning at like 6 a.m. because it was incredibly dark, there are no street lights, it's full of palm trees, and I was very much fond of watching CSI and all those crime shows where everybody just dies. And so it was just terrifying going through that. Once I saw something move out of the corner of my eye and like this fight or flight response just went through my body like this adrenaline rush, and it was just a palm tree leaf swaying. It was just terrifying. The only time I think I've ever felt unsure about one of my choices or my decisions was while I was at the airport in Newark waiting for my 2 a.m. flight to Hong Kong. And this was a moment I'd been waiting for several years, so I should have been very excited. But as I sat there far away from my family, I was not going to see any of my friends for 6 months. I was alone. The only people there spoke Mandarin or Cantonese, two languages that, while I could speak some Mandarin, I'm not even close to fluently or good enough to speak with somebody I didn't know. So I was just thinking, what if I get to Hong Kong and everybody there is like that and nobody speaks English and I can't make any friends, and then I'm alone for 4 months in the middle of nowhere. Luckily, that turned out not to be the case, and I had the most incredible 4 months of my life, but that was a slight moment where I had doubt. I have too many hobbies to count. For example, I started playing piano when I was 8 years old, so it's been around 13 years since then, and I love the piano, I love playing it, yet unless I push myself to physically sit at a piano, I don't really practice enough. And I wish I did, because when I hear other people who are amazing at it and who just play seamlessly, it makes me very jealous and very upset at myself that I didn't commit to it enough. I'm very undecided. I'm also interested in a lot of things. So I play the piano, I practice martial arts, I like to color in coloring books, I like to do sculpture and ceramics, I like to bake, I like to read, I like to write. I have a bucket list. It has like 100 things and I can't remember any of them. Actually, I would love to go to a place and jump off of a waterfall that does not have sharp, jagged rocks at the bottom of it. I would also like to travel through Europe. Hopefully I'll be able to do that soon. I would like to learn 6 languages actually also. So I already know English and Spanish fluently. I know a little bit of Mandarin. And I'm currently trying to learn French. I know very little, but I'm trying my best. And then I'll learn Italian, Japanese, and Portuguese. I would like to be somewhere that has beautiful architecture and culture where everything's within walking distance, so I don't have to take a car wherever I want to go, but that also has good public transportation system. It does sound like New York, but New York's also very cold. Very, very cold and very expensive. Answering what my favorite places that I've ever visited is like asking a parent who their favorite child is. It's kind of impossible because each city and each place you go to holds something different or a different memory. Like Hong Kong is where I spent 4 months, and it was the most incredible time of my life, and I made amazing friends and I had extremely incredible adventures. What makes me happy? Sunshine, the smell of freshly cut grass, people who have a passion, entrepreneurs, cats, all fluffy animals, all animals actually except insects and spiders. My family, my friends. I love cooking. I really do. It's part creativity, part chemistry, and then you can eat it. So what could be better than that? But I love baking most of all, simply because I like sweet things, and I think I was heavily influenced by my grandmother Rosita. She was like the perfect 1960s housewife. I admire people's perseverance. The idea that no matter how many obstacles are in your way, you still find the energy and the drive to move past that, and you can achieve great things if you just persevere at what you find important and what you think you want. I'm scared of the dark. Failure frightens me. I think out of anything else, not only failing whatever standards my family has for me, but the standards I have for myself, and not really reaching the potential or doing everything I want to do because I'm scared to do it. That's frightening. Just like passing on opportunities out of my own fear. That idea terrifies me. I take pleasure in probably very small things, like feeling the carpet on your toes. That always feels lovely. Or having a hot shower. Some things that people don't appreciate, and it's hard to when you have them every day. I wouldn't be able to live without hugs. I think hugs make the world go round. Hugs and smiles and laughs. I think those are all very important. People don't do them enough. If I just won the lottery and had millions and millions of dollars, I don't think it would stop me from working though. If I don't work, I get antsy and I'm just bored. So I'd still keep my job, whatever that is, or maybe I'd start my own business with all that money. Teleportation would be the greatest superpower. Can you imagine you're here right now and suddenly you want to eat something, let's say in a crepe or a croissant, and then you can just teleport yourself to France, have the best croissant, and then come back, and all in the same day. Or you can just go explore so many places, visit relatives. If you're in an uncomfortable situation, you can just disappear and go back wherever you want. You'd never be late to things. I'm always late. So the happiest I've ever been was the day I got into Brown University. It was my dream school. I've been working so hard for so many years for it. And especially the college application process is extremely rigorous, time intensive. I missed out parties, I didn't have a social life. But that day, I even remember this, it was December 15th, 2011, and the results came out at 5 p.m. I thought I wasn't gonna get in. I was like, I will be deferred, if not rejected. And that moment, when I finally clicked open the email and it said congratulations, I didn't even read the rest of it. It was just disbelief and happiness, just radiating. It's just a single moment of unbelievable happiness. I love my life. I wouldn't trade it for anybody else's. Not a fictional character, not another real person. I'm happy with the choices I've made and the places I've ended up, and I wouldn't trade it for the world.